The case of a Schofield soldier who killed his pregnant wife and only received 23 years in prison is spurring a new push to increase prison time. Dwayne Johnson admitted to attacking his wife Misha with a machete in 2024, then chopping her body up and throwing her remains in the trash. After pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter, Johnson received 15 years behind bars, the max sentence for military members in Hawaii. Congresswoman Jill Takuda is now asking the Joint Service Committee on Military Justice to increase that max sentence. She did not request a specific number of years, but cited other states with maximums ranging from 20 years to life behind bars. Johnson also received a consecutive 8-year sentence for covering up the crime.